Hey folks, Dusty here. This is section 16 of my series on keratology, POC number 14. If you want to follow along in sequence, check out the playlist I created. Welcome to 33 Degrees of Keratology, POC number 14. Invest in yourself. If you've ever flown on a commercial jet, you probably recall the stewardess showing everyone how to operate the seatbelts and explaining what to do in case of an emergency or pressure loss in the cabin. If the air pressure decreases to a preset amount, little hatches open and oxygen masks fall out of the ceiling for every passenger. When this happens, the instructions from the stewardess are very clear. Put your mask on first. As a parent, our first thoughts go directly to our kids, right? No, I need to make sure my kids get their masks on first because they need my help. It's selfish to help ourselves first, right? We are programmed to put our kids first, sacrificing for them because they are dependent on us. We provide their food, shelter, clothing, and teach them how to live safely in society. It's our job to protect them, so we ultimately put our needs last in life. How often do we choose where to live based on the best school districts or safer neighborhoods because we want the best for our kids? Well, that's a good practice generally. But we have to know that we are important as well, and that our needs must be met too. So the reasoning behind putting your mask on first is to protect our kids. We need to be cognizant and able to help in the event of an emergency, because if we aren't, then we can't help them. And the same is true in financial situations too. Let's say your daughter is driving home from college for a holiday visit and runs over some debris in the road, getting 2 flat tires on the way. She's 3 hours away and alone. She has 1 spare and knows how to change it, but not 2. She needs a tow and a couple new tires. So you start looking for tow companies in her area. You locate one a few minutes away from her, and they just happen to have tires in stock as well. Do you have enough money to help her get home? If you don't, what would you do? That's not a good situation for her or you to be in. If you don't have $450 to help her out of her situation, you feel absolutely helpless. There's no feeling like that of not being able to help a loved one when they are in need. So, how do we avoid that situation and come to the rescue when our kids need us? We have to take care of ourselves first. We cannot help if we have no oxygen or no money. We need to put our mask on first and pay ourselves first. Of course, we should have some form of emergency savings set aside or a credit card that we keep for such emergencies. But the truth is, if we're poor, we're no help to anyone. As a society, we're brought up believing that being poor is somehow noble, and being rich is greedy. Look anywhere and you'll see it. If you're not sure, just check out a Disney movie. Do you remember Cruella de Vil? Was she the hero or the villain? Was she rich or poor? Her name even alludes to it, Cruella. And her last name, de Vil, a fancy car that rich people own. In fact, almost all of the villains in movies, especially kids' movies, are always rich, and of course, evil. The good ones are always poor, humble, mistreated, oftentimes orphans, and they are the honest ones. Can you name one Disney movie for kids that does not begin with some tragedy or unfortunate situation for the protagonist? So why do we propagate these ideas to our children? Why do we portray lawyers as greedy and dishonest? Why do we always hear stories of the big bad banker foreclosing on the helpless, humble farmer's property? What this does to us, beginning at a young age, because that's when we're the most impressionable, is teach us that being poor is more honorable and being rich is bad. With these kinds of notions in our heads, we are far more likely to subconsciously reject having any substantial amount of money without feeling guilty for it. So what is so great about being poor? Or having a lack of oxygen for ourselves? Does that make us a better person somehow? How do we help someone in need if we're poor? How do we feed others if we're starving ourselves? We have to repair the years of damage that we've subjected ourselves to and relearn how society really works. It's not bad to be rich. And I'm not saying it's bad to be poor. Money neither makes us good or bad. But if you don't have enough to provide for yourself, you cannot provide for others. So we have to focus on ourselves, feed ourselves, and give ourselves oxygen. By this same principle, we need to invest in ourselves as well. We need to learn and educate ourselves before we can educate others. We cannot give that which we don't ourselves possess first. The more we invest in ourselves with knowledge, abilities, and financially, the more we are able to help others. And helping others actually is noble. By growing our carrots, we become helpful to those around us. In our next section, video 17, we'll talk about being a sponge. So I hope you'll follow along. If you like this series so far and don't want to miss the next section, make sure to subscribe. I add a new video to the series each week. Thanks for watching. As always, folks, take the trip and enjoy the ride.